Welcome back. Now in this section we're going to talk about meaningful engagement to maximize volunteer retention. And that really starts with understanding your volunteers' motivations. If we step back for a moment and think about a human being and the different ways that they can engage in civic life today, that can take many different forms. It can be the company they decide to work for. It could be some of their purchase decisions. Volunteering is just one of the many ways in which individuals make a decision to get involved in society. So that's important to remember. We're competing against some other areas as well. So what is it that volunteers want? Well, for giving you their time, what they want is to know that they're making an impact. They want to know that the nonprofit they're supporting is prepared for them, wants them there, and is going to give them meaningful work to do. What else do they want? They want to learn new skills. They want to connect with people socially. So we always say to volunteers that while your intention may be to do good, we also know that you're going to get a lot back out of it. So volunteering is just as valuable for the volunteers as it is for the organizations they support. We at Hands On decided that we wanted to understand the motivation for volunteering or not here locally in Hong Kong. So we partnered with the consumer research firm Nielsen, and in 2017 we did a study of 1,000 individuals via telephone calls to find out their attitudes and behaviors towards volunteering. The following year, 2018, we wanted to understand a little bit about the impact of volunteerism on individuals' mental health and well-being. And we conducted a study again with Nielsen through online surveys. Let's start with the first one. When we asked people, do you have an intention to volunteer and do any kind of service through volunteer work, 76% of respondents said, yes, I absolutely intend to volunteer in the next 12 months. Then later in the survey we asked, have you actually volunteered in the last 12 months? And only 24% had. So it shows that there's great desire and intention, but the actual putting it into motion is a little bit more challenging. So why is that? What are the things that are holding you back? No surprise, in busy Hong Kongers' lives, time was the number one reason, the number one barrier to volunteering. The second was that the volunteers said they weren't sure they were able to see their impact through the time they spent. So again, it goes back to reminding volunteers of the impact that they'll make. And the third thing was where to begin. Living in Hong Kong, it can seem like a bubble at times. And while the needs may not be apparent to everyone or right on their doorstep, sometimes volunteers have to go out and find the need or find a place where they can put their time. And we're hoping that's where an organization like Hands On Hong Kong or ACS can make this process a lot smoother and straightforward for them. Moving on to the next survey that we did, which was around mental health and well-being, we found that 83% of respondents said that volunteering improves their mental health and well-being. 82% said it makes them feel more empowered, and 3/4 said volunteering improves my self-esteem. So it goes back to volunteering is great for the service it provides, but it's actually really excellent for the volunteers themselves, which are never more important than in today's Hong Kong, following the year that we've just come off with civil unrest and health crisis. I would think that everyone getting out and volunteering could help all of our well-being. So let's get back to our volunteer engagement cycle. And we're going to focus this next section on staying engaged with volunteers in some very easy, practical, low or even no-cost techniques. Number one, whenever you have your volunteers show up at your activity, be absolutely sure to provide them with a thorough briefing and provide some educational elements. They may be first-time volunteers and they may not understand the full complexity of the issue that they're serving. Number two, Create a welcoming environment. Provide name tags for volunteers so that they have an opportunity to get to meet others. Remember that making new social connections is one of the reasons that people sign up to volunteer. Number 3, set program times and stick to them. It's a really important way of building trust with your volunteers. If you as an organization say you're going to do something and then you do it, they will feel comfortable coming back again and again. Don't forget to say thank you. Not your typical standard, thank you for coming. Tell them something personal. Give them a reminder of something wonderful that happened throughout the day, or maybe something surprising or unexpected that the volunteers experienced. Let them know that you were present with them and you care about their experience that they had. Other ways to engage volunteers is to make sure to recognize them on your website and social media posts. It costs nothing. Profile volunteers in one of your digital newsletters or in an email update that you may be sending to your audience. Create chat groups on WhatsApp, WeChat, whatever it is that you're using, so that regular volunteers can keep in touch, either with you, the organization, or with one another. And a really important area is invite existing volunteers to teach or support new volunteers. It's really empowering for them. It's also leveraging on the extensive knowledge and expertise that they have developed with you as a volunteer over time with your organization. Another tip that we at Hands on Hong Kong discovered recently is to really make volunteers a part of your process, no matter what it is. So in response to the COVID-19 crisis, we saw that it was really important for us to provide care packages to low-income families and people in need. So we put out a special newsletter to our volunteers to say, help us, be with us, and help our crowdfunding campaign. This newsletter went out on April 30th. On April 30th, we launched the crowdfunding campaign, and we were delighted to see that we achieved 253% of our target, which was going to enable us to support twice as many families as we had anticipated. That campaign ran through May 15th. Just before the campaign closed, we put out another newsletter to say, mission accomplished. This is what we were able to raise with your help, and now here are the programs we are running that will be funded by this crowdfunding campaign. Now come and volunteer with us. Making volunteers an absolute part of this process from the beginning, the middle, and the end made them actually take some ownership for it. And this campaign was actually funded by our own volunteers. So some tips on volunteer engagement. Absolutely value what your volunteers have to say, their ideas and their feedback. Don't forget that some of these volunteers are with your organization even longer than your staff. So what they have to say means a lot. Demonstrate listening and demonstrate the action that you're taking in response to their feedback. Do show appreciation. Let them know how grateful you are for the time that they've spent. But we highly recommend not rewarding with any kind of lavish or expensive gifts, because that really goes against the nature of the work you're having them do. And don't forget to offer do-it-yourself opportunities. If there are ways that volunteers can help from home or virtually, make sure that you make these available to them, especially during times of crisis. Now, the final part of the volunteer engagement life cycle that we're going to talk about here is recognition. In order to recognize, it's really important that you track what your volunteers are doing. So if you have an ability to track their hours, reward individuals who have given quite a number of hours, that's a great thing to do. Organizations such as the Volunteer Movement with the Social Welfare Department, AVS, Easy Volunteer, Hands On, and Social Career are all the types of organizations that can help you to do this kind of thing, tracking volunteer hours for your programs. Now, once you've tracked these hours, it's great to show your appreciation and reward. And here are some really easy ideas. Number one, provide a certificate highlighting your volunteers' hours. These are really useful, especially for students, high school or university students who are able to use these certificates to for their CAS points or any kind of community service points that their institutions may provide. Also, you can give branded merchandise from your favorite program. We've seen t-shirts being given out from WWF, and most recently, stay tuned, they're coming up, face masks from Hands On Hong Kong. You can take a photo of one of your volunteers in action at their service program and share it back with them. It's something they can then share on their own social media platform and give a little visibility to your program with their own networks. Don't forget to reward with various items such as vouchers to coffee shops or restaurants that can be provided by partners. There's an organization called Time Auction that will help provide special experiences for volunteers as long as you validate their hours. And some final tips: celebrate volunteering with your volunteers in a comfortable, relaxed and social setting. So we at Hands On, we provide a volunteer appreciation event once a year, and we've managed to be able to find venues who can help either low or no cost for us. And it's a great way to visibly thank our volunteers, get our board members involved to thank them for their time. Last idea we can offer today is to offer training opportunities, the ones that you would give to your staff. There are many wonderful organizations out there who provide presentation skills, leadership, and communication training that would be available to your staff. Invite some of your best volunteers in, because when they are trained up to do presentations and communication even better, they're going to represent your programs that much better. So I hope this provides some practical and helpful tips for you for engaging your volunteers, one of your most important resources as a nonprofit organization. Thank you for your time.